Have you ever heard of the bamboo forests outside Kamakura? By day, they're a sight to behold, a sea of green stalks reaching for the sky. But once the sun dips below the horizon, a hush falls over the mountains. The locals, they know better than to linger. They whisper tales of the Chōchin no Onna, the lantern woman, a spectral figure who roams the dense groves, her path lit by a single, flickering lantern. They say she's a spirit who lost her way, forever searching for something in the darkness between the bamboo. It's a story most people dismiss as folklore, a spooky tale to tell around a fire. But some stories are more than just words. Some stories are warnings. This is the story of a young traveler, a blogger named Johnny. He was an adventurer, always chasing the next incredible photo for his website. He'd heard the whispers about the lantern woman, of course, but to him, it was the perfect hook for his next post. A night in the haunted bamboo grove of Kamakura, he imagined the shot, the tall, dark bamboo stalks silhouetted against a starry sky, maybe with a touch of mist for effect. The warnings from the villagers just added to the allure. He packed his camera gear, a tripod, and a flask of hot tea, and headed for the mountains just as dusk was settling in. He told a friendly innkeeper he'd be back by morning, laughing off the old man's concerned look. He was just going to take a picture. After all, what was the worst that could happen? He found the entrance to the forest tizily. The path was worn but clear. As he stepped between the first few colossal stalks of bamboo, a strange quiet descended. It was unnatural. The usual night sounds of the forest, the chirping of crickets, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of an owl where el gone. It was like the entire world had been put on mute. The only sound was the crunch of his own footsteps on the damp earth. The air grew cold, clinging to his skin. He pulled his jacket tighter, a flicker of unease finally piercing his bravado. He set up his tripod, but the perfect shot eluded him. The forest was too dark, too oppressive. It was then that he saw it. Far down the path, almost lost in the suffocating darkness, was a tiny pinprick of light, a warm, gentle glow, like a single candle flame dancing in the still air. It was a lantern. It swayed softly, as if being carried by someone walking at a slow, deliberate pace. Johnny's heart leaped with excitement. This was it. This was the shot. Maybe it was another hiker, or a local heading home. He quickly packed up his gear and started walking towards the light, his camera ready. He called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" But his voice was swallowed by the silent bamboo, leaving no echo. He picked up his pace, eager to catch up. As he drew closer, he realized something was terribly wrong. The lantern was floating. It hung in the air, about 5 feet off the ground, with no visible hand holding it, no person attached to it. It just hovered there, its light casting long, dancing shadows that made the bamboo stalks look like the bars of a cage. The flame inside flickered, but there was no wind. The air was dead calm. Johnny froze, his hand trembling slightly on his camera. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back, to run. But then, a voice drifted out from the darkness near the lantern. It was soft, melodic, yet carried a chilling echo. It wasn't a shout, but a whisper that seemed to come from all directions at once. It said just 2 words: "Follow me." His rational mind was screaming, but the photographer in him, the adventurer, was captivated. Who was this? What was this? The mystery was too compelling to ignore. He took a hesitant step forward, and then another. The lantern began to move again, gliding deeper into the forest, always staying just out of reach. He followed, his camera forgotten in his hand. The path twisted and turned, and with every step, the bamboo seemed to grow thicker, closer together. He glanced back, trying to see the path he'd come from, but it was gone. It was as if the forest was alive, rearranging itself behind him, sealing him in. The bamboo stalks were no longer just plants. They were walls, closing in, guiding him forward, leaving him no choice but to follow the light. The lantern led him on for what felt like an eternity, through a labyrinth of identical green stalks. Finally, it stopped, hovering over a small, dark clearing. The light from the flame began to dim, its warm glow fading into a weak, pulsating flicker. Johnny's eyes struggled to adjust to the deepening gloom, and then he saw her. A figure slowly materialized from the shadows beneath the lantern. It was a woman. Her skin was unnaturally pale, like polished marble in the moonlight. Her long, black hair hung straight and wet, clinging to her face and shoulders. Her eyes were wide and dark, but completely empty, like two hollow voids. She wore a traditional kimono, but it was tattered and stained, looking as if it had been soaked in morning dew, or perhaps something darker. The lantern, which had been floating freely, now hovered directly in front of her chest, as if tethered to her by an invisible string. She didn't seem to be standing on the ground, but floating just above it. She slowly, gracefully, lifted the lantern. As she raised it towards her face, the flame inside sputtered and changed color. It bled from a warm yellow to a deep, sickly crimson. The red light washed over her pale features, making her look even more terrifying. A foul smell filled the air, a cloying mix of iron, like old blood and damp, freshly turned soil. Johnny's adrenaline-fueled curiosity evaporated, replaced by pure, paralyzing terror. He tried to take a step back, to run, but his feet wouldn't move. He looked down and saw why. The soft forest floor had turned into a thick, black mud that was sucking at his boots, pulling him down like quicksand. He was trapped. He struggled, but the more he fought, the deeper he sank. He looked up at the woman, his heart pounding against his ribs. Her empty eyes were fixed on him. Her lips parted, and that same melodic, ethereal whisper slithered through the air, directly into his ear. This time, it said, "Stay with me." Days turned into a week. Johnny never came back. The innkeeper, worried, finally called the local authorities. A search party was sent into the bamboo forest, but they only went in during the day. They scoured the paths, calling his name. Eventually, near the center of the grove, they found his camera, lying on its side in the dirt next to his tripod. They took it back, hoping the memory card might hold some clues to his disappearance. Most of the photos were just what you'd expect: blurry night shots of bamboo, failed attempts at capturing the forest's beauty. But as they clicked through to the final frames, their blood ran cold. The last few photos were aimed at a faint, reddish light in the distance, and in the very last one, a frame that was mostly black, a figure was just barely visible. A shadowy woman with long hair, her face pale, staring directly into the camera lens. Her eyes, they seemed to look right through the screen, into the soul of whoever was looking. They say Johnny was never seen again, another soul lost to the Kamakura bamboo grove. The locals know the truth. They say, if you ever near those mountains at night and you see a single lantern floating between the trees, you must turn away. Don't let your curiosity win. Don't try to get a closer look, because the Chōchin no Onna is always looking for company, and she never, ever lets her guests leave. Thank you so much for watching this tale. If you enjoy stories from the shadows, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more eerie adventures. Stay safe out there, and remember, some legends are best left unexplored.